Hey guys, it's David and Shayna. We are interviewing Richard Arnott on January 19th at Shayna's house.
I was born in County Cork, Ireland.
In what town?
I was born in Cork City, and I grew up in a town called Monkstown until I was 13, and then I moved to a town I call home, which was Carrigaline.
What was your childhood like?
It was good. I have 5 siblings, so there was 6 kids in the house, and I lived next door to my cousins, and they had 6 kids, and we lived in a very rural area, so we just had the 12 of us used to do things, and my cousins were the same age as the 6 of us, so it was fun, a lot of fun.
That's interesting. That sounds fun. Sorry.
Yes, they have. They've all been here at some stage since I came in 1984. They come to visit much more now than they used to. For the first 10 years, I only had my brother visit me. And then after that, my sisters have come, and my other brother had come to Boston.
Have they ever considered moving here to America?
No. They like living in Ireland. They like living where we grew up, and they have no desire to emigrate or come to Boston to live. They enjoy it while they're here, but they like living in Ireland.
Yeah. What made you want to move to America?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know, when I was 24 when I came to America, I had, like I said, grew up in Ireland. I worked in Ireland, and I decided I wanted to get more out of life than I had done, especially my schooling. And in Ireland at the time, once you left school, you could not go back to university. There's only 4 universities in the country, and it was for kids who left school at 18 and went straight to university, but you couldn't go back as a returning student like you could in the US. And so Christmas of '83, I met a friend of mine who I'd grown up with, and he had come to Boston to go back to college to become an architect. So he invited me to come over and try it for a while to see if I'd like it or not. And so I took a couple of months and thought about it. I also thought about immigrating to Australia, and decided to come to America instead because it would be easier to get home if I wanted to.
How hard was it to get a visa to come to America?
It was really hard. I mean, one of the points that Americans don't see or don't get because they're lucky enough to be born here is how hard it is for people to get into this country. I mean, people die trying to get here because it's such a great country, and to most Americans they're just used to it. They don't realize it. But so when I first came here in September of '84, I had a visitor visa, which was good for 3 months to come in and visit. So after I got accepted to Bunker Hill, I had to go back and get a student visa because my visitor visa was expiring, and I had to have the right visa in order to get accepted to school. You cannot get accepted to school here as a foreign student without the visa. And also in school, you got to realize that as a foreign student, which is rightly so, foreign students pay a lot more to go to school there than kids that are born in America. So you pay, obviously, you pay the full amount yourself.
consulate official, and he said to me I didn't have no paperwork. Now, the embassy was in Dublin, which for me was a 4-hour drive to get to the embassy. So he wasn't happy with the paperwork. He wanted more paperwork, which I didn't have, which was back in Cork.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, got all the paperwork that he had requested, and 2 days later I drove back to Dublin. It was just before Christmas. It was about 4 days before Christmas Day. And so I went in with the paperwork, saw the same official, and he looked at the paperwork and he said, I'm denying you the visa. Because he said, I don't believe that you're going to go to school. I think you're going to go over there and you're going to work and get lost in the system. We'll never see. He said, I'm denying you the visa. So I was obviously taken back, and I was like, no, I'm going to school. It shows that I'm accepted. He says, I don't believe it. So at that stage, I was supposed to go back to Boston at the beginning of January and start school. So I decided this wasn't going to happen. So I said, okay, I want to see your supervisor. So he said, well, my supervisor's in the U.S. for the holidays. And I said, well, can I see that person's supervisor? And he said, no. She's also in the U.S. I said, okay, if I have to see the ambassador, I'm waiting to see someone, but I'm not leaving here without my visa just because you don't believe me. So he said, take a seat. So after about an hour, a woman came in and she said, please come to this room. So they took me into a room. This woman interviewed me, asked what I was doing, what I had done.